Okay, it's recording. Did you get the recording noise?
Yes, I got it. It's recording. Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, Shop. This is another one of our weekly podcasts. Thanks for coming all the way
No
from
worries.
Canada. Where do you exactly stay, man? I forget. It's like Vancouver, like Toronto. Where do you stay?
No. I stay in a small town called Markham, which is like 30 kilometers north of Toronto. And it's a small town and very
Sorry,
quiet.
what is the town called?
It's called Markham. It's Markham. You can Google it. Pretty little town.
Markham,
I was
Canada,
just,
Ontario.
yeah, I was just in the main town square. It's got pretty, a lot of local businesses, blah blah blah, and
Okay,
very
all right.
good looking place and very good place to stay also. Uh,
Okay,
Kind of very quiet, very subtle, and not a lot of flashy stuff. But yeah, it's a
okay,
good place to stay, and the rent and the cost of living is also kind of lesser than what you would have in let's say main downtown Toronto. So yeah, it's good, and it's only about 40 minutes uh, public transport if you want to go to downtown Toronto. So it's
okay,
quite good. Yeah.
okay. All right, all right, all right. Okay, great. We'll come to Canada a little later. Let's start about a global event which
Yep.
a lot of countries don't want to host because it's very expensive,
Hmm.
and uh, somehow Paris managed to host this. I read that they spent like only $9 billion, which is one of the cheapest
Hmm.
Olympics.
Oh.
uh, though the Parisians to some extent don't like it. Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen the news, but there's like I think a lot of unrest and thefts happening in Paris. Uh,
Oh.
so, I mean, the Parisians don't like it much. And they've done this entire PR exercise to clean the Seine River
Ah.
because it had human shit in it. So
Oh.
before all the aquatic water events and all, I don't know if you've seen this movie on Netflix about sharks in Paris, like Paris under water or something. Hold on.
Oh. Wow.
It's a hit movie. It's called Under Paris. Okay, it came this year.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, and it's about a swimming event that takes place in the River Seine, and all the swimmers get eaten up by sharks. And then then the police and army comes in to kill the sharks. It's like Jaws, but in
Oh.
Paris.
Hmm.
So a lot of people, you go on Insta, they're making fun of Paris, and but I mean, pretty interesting to see. I think like historically, like I was just seeing some videos, right? Every
Hmm.
country that has hosted the Olympics, okay,
Okay.
has never recouped its investment. So,
Oh.
like Brazil spent a lot of money
Hmm.
and it never got back. It never got back, and the stadiums are lying empty. When the Brazil,
Hmm.
of course, the Brazil Olympics, right? And
Hmm.
so the next Olympics is in LA,
Hmm.
and because how much it costs to host an Olympics,
Hmm.
only I guess only two or three countries bid for the Olympics. Okay, last time.
Wow.
One was France, of course, for Paris, and the
Hmm.
other was US for LA. Right.
Okay.
So the International Olympic Committee did not want to, put on a sorry face that nobody's interested in hosting the Olympics.
Hmm.
So it automatically awarded simultaneous uh, hosting rights to
Hmm.
Paris and LA simultaneously. Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're aware, cricket is in the
Featuring in
Olympics.
the LA Olympics.
In
Yes.
the Olympics, it's T20.
Hmm.
I think 6 to only 8 teams are going to play.
Okay.
Don't know. Let's see how that goes. Anyways, so yeah, talking about Olympics, very, very decent, and I would say perhaps, I don't know, pretty good, I think, show by India. Have you been
Yeah.
following it?
Yes, I have been following it, and I've been getting the updates every time I open up social media, whether it's Facebook or even Google News would, pop up news about the recent medals that we have won. And it only goes to show, I was just looking, it's only after I read about Manu Bhakur, I obviously did not have any idea who this young girl is and the amount of accolades that she's got at such a young age, of course. And it was only after I got the news that I actually looked up on her on Google and, what other, when she actually started her career and blah, blah, blah. And it was only when I was going through her Instagram and I was taken aback to see that this girl has gone, to all lengths and breadths of this of the world, and she's won other tournaments as well. And it's just bizarre how we Indians are, first of all, not aware, and we don't kind of keep any keen interest in other sports, and how only a few sport, and by few I just mean football and cricket, and especially cricket, holds the maximum attention and our TV screens. And it just goes to show how other sports also need to be given a push. And every global tournament after tournament, whether it's the Commonwealth Games that we talk about, or the Olympics or the Winter Olympics, there's always some Indian who athlete or player who shines. We are still a long way to go in terms of gold, because every Olympics we're always searching for gold, and it's not always easy for our athletes to do so. There have been athletes who have done it in the previous tournaments. But I've kept up with the news, and it's really a proud moment for India, to get the first two medals for us, and really hopeful that India will up its tally as the tournament progresses.
Yeah. So now the good thing is that very early on in the game schedule, we have the medal
Hmm.
tally. I put up the medals tally on the screen.
Hmm.
Interestingly, do you notice something? US and Russia are not in the top five.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's quite interesting actually, because they always kind of feature
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
top five, or I would say even the top four. And Great Britain is at number seven. They usually feature also in in the top
Yes,
four.
yes.
And
Australia is
if I,
already up there.
yep, Australia is up
Until
there.
I think until yesterday, it was leading the medal tally.
Hmm.
So it's all about the different events. Like Australia is very good at swimming,
Hmm.
hockey,
Yep.
uh, a few other cycling sports. So I think as the sports happen, they will win. Japan is
Hmm.
good in. I don't know if I'm correct. I will check this later. But judo, I guess.
Hmm.
Maybe fencing. China, of course, is good at everything, gymnastics and all.
Yep.
I'm honestly very surprised to see United States not in the top two, three right now. And yes, definitely a very
Yep.
proud moment for India for getting two medals. And I read that this girl Manu Bhaker, she's the
Hmm.
first Indian to win two medals at an Olympics in 124 years.
Yes, I was reading the same. It's such an amazing fact, right?
Yeah. I mean, I hope we will get some gold. I guess shooting, I'm not
Hmm.
too sure, but maybe in athletics we'll hopefully get a gold. Huge, all
Hmm.
the eyes on Neeraj. I'm not sure if Neeraj is Neeraj competing this time. Not sure. Is Neeraj
Hmm.
Chopra competing? Neeraj Chopra arrives in Paris. Oh, he's arrived in Paris today, so his event is
Okay.
hasn't happened yet. So all
Hmm.
hopes on him. Talking about the other sports. Look, at some point we are also guilty. Okay,
True.
uh, like a lot of us, we are we only pay attention to Olympics when it happens, and for
Hmm.
those few days, when our athletes win an award, we're all proud and all that,
Hmm.
right? But throughout the year, we're just following cricket, GG era, and all of that. I mean, fine,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong about that, but it's about also something that Sunil Chetri said on the podcast recently. He was asked as to
Hmm.
why don't more people watch football. He said
Hmm.
it's not about football versus cricket, but it's also that Indian football team does not play good football.
Hmm.
Okay, so if you don't play good football, you don't win matches. Why will people come and watch? And I think the same goes for Olympics as well. I'm not
Hmm.
saying it's always the athletes. There is a lot of issue with at the infrastructure level as well. Because if you see the Olympics, okay, most of the
Yes.
athletes that win medals come from the Haryana region or the Punjab region.
True. Punjab region. Yes.
Neeraj Chopra, then the shooter, right? Abhinav Bindra. Now this
Yes.
girl, they're all, I mean, from Punjab, Haryana region where there is a lot of focus, and we win these typical, we win sports like javelin, and
Hmm.
then wrestling, right? Lot of contact
Yes.
sports.
Yes.
Okay, and I see a flood. I did put out a tweet, which I
Hmm.
will add in. Which I did put a tweet saying that all the people praising, uh, praising Manu Bhaker and all the athletes.
Hmm.
Okay, please
Mm.
continue the support after the Olympics also ends. Okay, I mean, don't
Yeah.
just go back to supporting cricket and only talk about GG era all the time.
Yes. There was an athlete a couple of years ago who missed her bronze, I think, by just a couple of inches in long jump, and this was a girl. This was an athlete called Deepa Karmakar, and I think she hails from Agartala. And she did really well in the 2016, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay,
2016 Olympics, Rio de Janeiro. Correct me if I'm
okay,
wrong, but she did very well, and she lost to one of the world's best athletes, so Simone Biles, who hails from the US. And Simone
okay,
Biles is a huge name in the US now. She's a very well respected and a very well known athlete in the US. But then again, like you mentioned, it also comes down to the infrastructure that is present in the country and the kind of resources that you put pump into these sports. Unfortunately, we're a nation that has a that puts a huge amount of money on certain specific selected few for sports, obviously cricket, and it does the other sports does they don't get the due attention from whether authorities or even supporters that is needed. There was a girl from my hometown. There were two girls. There was so one was in running, I think. Her name was Hima Das, and she won a medal last time around. And there was another boxer who was also from my state, but I'm not particularly sure if they're competing in the Paris Olympics. Maybe because of injury, the boxer had to train in one of the European nations, and apparently the government did not have enough money to send her on a foreign training session, and she need so when you're an athlete you need to consistently train and train. So it's not just that one Olympics is over and then you have to prepare for the next Olympics. It's about consistency, and sometimes they don't get the funds, or there is some kind of uh, you know some sort of a roadblock that these athletes cannot continue their run, and so they end up becoming a one show wonder, whether it's a bronze, whether it's a silver, or they end up fourth place. So it's really tragic. But yeah, like you said, we need to get out of our cricket obsessed mindsets as authorities and even as supporters to kind of give that push and cheer our Olympians for us to even see more golds and more silvers.
So a couple of things over here. I will share for our viewers and also with you.
Hmm.
This I had this 5 minute video on YouTube about why Australia wins so many medals. Okay,
Hmm.
uh, despite having such
Yeah.
a small population. Okay, and they play
Okay.
literally every kind of sports.
Hmm.
Okay, while while Australia sort of plays primarily few the sporting season in Australia is divided by the season of the weather. Okay,
Hmm. Okay.
so cricket is a summer sport. Then they move to
Hmm.
football and rugby in the winters. I'm not
Hmm.
sure about the rest, but
Hmm.
so there was a saying that as to in terms in Australia wins
Hmm.
one gold medal for every 3 lakh people. That's the ratio. While US wins one
Hmm.
gold medal for every 1 million people.
Hmm.
So the reason why Australia punches so above its weight is
Hmm.
because they have this structured training program, at least in swimming. I don't know much about other sports, right from a
Hmm.
very early age. Okay, and of course, people are
Hmm.
encouraged to play sports and etc. So
Hmm.
if you talk about resources, right, it's not like Australia is one of the in terms of GDP, it's one of the top countries in the world.
Hmm.
Okay, no matter they play a niche sport like cricket or a
Hmm.
popular sport like soccer or I would say athletics, right?
Hmm.
They will be on top because Australia is able to spend so much money on one person.
Hmm.
Okay. The other side of this is, and I will also show this on screen. I was very surprised to see this from Great Britain. I had no clue that this was happening over there. Apparently, some athletes of the Olympic contingent
Okay.
turn to OnlyFans to make money. Okay, and these are from Great
Oh.
Britain. Okay,
Oh.
I mean you would not expect this. Okay, so there's this diver. Okay, he's 29-year-old. Right,
Hmm.
I mean, he sells adult content on OnlyFans because he makes like what 28,000 pounds or dollars a year. Anyways, peanuts.
Hmm.
Okay? And there was this another video that I would share that an average
Hmm.
Olympian, okay, makes less
Hmm.
money than a
Hmm.
McDonald's worker in Paris,
Wow.
right? Because
Hmm.
there are so many sports. Uh,
Hmm.
Most of the sports are very niche sports. Okay,
Yeah.
so like you know, um, like judo,
Hmm.
okay, or like wrestling,
Hmm.
very niche. Or there's this indoor cycling thing. I don't know what's it called. So
Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, or even sports like fencing and all that. So you don't really
fencing,
see
yeah,
that
yeah,
day
yeah.
every day, you know? Yeah.
Like I think this time break dancing is also a sport. I don't know which country is winning medals in that.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, of course, you'll make the big money if you are playing football, if you're playing
Hmm.
basketball, swimming to
Hmm.
a certain extent. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think in most sports, in most of the athletes are not making any money, and India is a very specific thing because our priority first is that people don't pursue sports because first they will pursue the basic needs.
Hmm.
Okay? सबको नौकरी चाहिए होता है,
Hmm.
and without a steady income it's very difficult to pursue any sport as well, right? You need
True.
nutrition, coaching, training, uh, and you need like you spoke about athletes from Assam. Okay,
Yep.
I think Assamese athletes have done pretty well in the
Yeah.
last couple of years, but I hardly
Yeah.
hear anything coming from there in terms of athletics,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like Hima Das is one example, like I mentioned, and then Lavlina Borthakur, the boxer I was mentioning about. So they have a
Yeah,
bright future ahead. But again, like I say, you need extensive training if you're an athlete,
yeah,
day in and day out, and you need a substantial amount of investment for training. Whether you go abroad or for if you want to train domestically. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of domestic trainers dedicated to those sports that
yeah,
can
yeah.
give.
And
Yeah.
historically, like a lot of players in hockey used to come from
Hmm.
Odisha. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
and while also historically we used to dominate hockey, not anymore, not
Hmm.
anymore. But thankfully, the Indian hockey team is playing a very good match.
Hmm.
If you can go back, check out the replay of India versus New Zealand.
Yeah, I
In
think
New
they beat
Zealand,
New Zealand.
they
Yeah,
beat New
it was a neck
Zealand
and neck.
and very
Yeah.
neck and neck, very high scoring match, 4-2.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I was able to only watch a few of the I don't know what they call it, sets, halves, etc. But again, I mean,
Hmm.
even New Zealand as a country punches so far above its weight for a
Hmm.
country that is 40-50 lakh people,
Hmm.
right? They are able to do so well. It's just
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's just pure will and intent,
Yep.
which I don't know how serious we are about our own sports.
Yeah, I was just now that you mentioned, I was just at the mall yesterday, and today I was at the department store, and everywhere you have screens put out cheering Team Canada, and you do actually have people sitting in the malls. They put up a sitting arrangement and everything in the like in the common area of the mall where people are watching and supporting Team Canada, and there are hoardings everywhere. And then you have Canadian swimmers. They're watching Canadian swimmers swim. They're watching other athletes, and I think Canada won 2 goals yesterday. So, and then of course Canada as a country usually plays sports like ice hockey and other sports like swimming, and then you have I think ice.
A lot of winter themed sports like
Yes,
skating,
skating and all
ice
that.
hockey.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I think even gymnastics, they have a lot of emphasis, and you would be surprised by the amount of training that goes around and the investment from an early age that goes on. There is a girl in my neighborhood. She must be around 12 or 13 years old, and she trains extensively. Her mother takes her to, and she aspires to be an Olympian. and she goes to the local community centers to train. And there are other kids also who, from a very young age, take Olympic sports very seriously. But then again, of course, like you said, you have to different societies. Uh, Maybe Canada can afford to do that versus India, where the sport is pursuing sports other than cricket and the most lucrative ones are not as rewarding as they may be in other countries or developed countries, and people want to put bread in their mouth, or bread on their table first, and then worry about niche sports like gymnastics and stuff. So yeah.
Do you know about the Canadian football scandal? It is so weird and bizarre.
Yes, I have read about it. Yes.
Just give me 1 minute on this.
It's the drone scandal you're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's the drone scandal from the
Yes.
women's football team. Like, I have not read a more bizarre incident than this. Why were they
Yeah.
flying drones to spy on the opponent team? I mean,
It beats me, honestly.
this is so stupid, man.
And in today's day and age, where you can't skip and escape eyes of public with the kind of technology that you have, and the I don't know what they were thinking, or what maybe they weren't thinking, then they should have been thinking. To pull off something like this and think that you can actually escape and get away with it is bizarre, beyond explanation, honestly.
Do you have any idea on what the Canadian public is thinking about this? The soccer is a huge game, no doubt. But I mean, apparently, this article says that the women's Canadian team can stay alive. They are awaiting an appeal coming from the Olympic Committee. Uh,
Yeah, it'll
yeah,
be
but
interesting to see how this pans out, because football again is a major sport over here, and especially women's football. And like I said, kids from a very young age take their sport very, very seriously. They almost take it up as a source of, like their livelihood depend on this, and so people take a lot of pride, and as well as a lot of investment goes into becoming an athlete from a very young age. So I'm sure the Canadians athletes at least will be hoping that there is some good news. But it is beyond bizarre to be doing something like this, just spying on your opponent, and using drones
yeah,
and at
what
an
are the drones?
event of this. Yeah, exactly. And at an event of this magnitude,
I mean, what do they think that?
I think they've done the
Okay, I
right
mean,
thing by
see, you
suspending the
expect this.
coach.
Yeah, and I think the coach was suspended, and somebody else on the football team also voluntarily resigned.
Yes.
But I mean, honestly, I would expect this from a country like North Korea or China. Okay. Not from Canada. Not at all from Canada.
We live in strange times, bro. We live in strange times. It's very shocking.
I mean, what do they think that in the age of like surveillance cameras, military, keeping
Yeah,
an eye,
exactly.
just fly a drone and not get caught? This is so stupid.
Exactly. I mean, we live in times of such hyper surveillance, right? And you're not gonna get away with it. There's cameras everywhere. And in today's day and age, everything stays on the internet. So the scandal is gonna stay for a while at least.
All right. Okay, that was everything on Olympics. Hopefully, India wins a few more medals. If it does, we'll cover it. Now, let's talk about cricket.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're not following the India Sri Lanka match. Any reasons?
I am following the India Sri Lanka match, like we discussed in our previous last episode. Unless there is a major event that's happening, like a World Cup or some trophy, ICC trophy, it's not as feasible and practical to kind of keep subscribing to somewhat expensive subscription channels to watch mindless bilaterals, especially when it's in India, Sri Lanka. One, when I can watch the highlights over YouTube in 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And
That's true.
with all due respect to Sri Lanka, they are not the force and might that they used to be maybe in 10-15 years ago, when all the greats used to play, the Jaisuryas and the Sangakaras and Malingas. I don't know what's wrong with their team. I mean, or their system, their cricketing system, because ever since the retirement of the greats like Jayawardene and Malinga and Kumar Sangakkara, they've just not been able to produce those impactful players. You've had 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many captains in the last so many years in every format. You have cricketers here and there who pop up and play some magical innings here and there, and then they just vanish. So
Yeah,
I
a
don't know.
lot has to do with the decline of cricket. I think what I heard little bit is the domestic structure, and then of course
Yeah,
all the economic problems they have, the country going bankrupt, and
exactly.
and corruption that the president ran away
Right,
with billions of dollars to some other country.
right.
So not the best place. In fact, Jaiswaria is on the coaching staff. I did see him briefly, saw him in the match.
Okay.
While India has won the series 3-0,
Mm,
comprehensive win, but interestingly,
mm,
today's match was on the edge. I just saw the last over, last two balls,
mm.
honestly.
Okay.
And Sri Lanka needed 3 runs to win in the last ball. They managed to get
Mm.
two. It went to super over, and in super over, they only scored 2 runs.
Sri Lanka only scored
Okay,
2 runs.
2 runs, yeah.
Wow. It's
because in
this is
super
turning out to be, yeah,
because in
because
super over you can only take 2 wickets.
oh yeah.
Okay, so they got out
Yes.
in 2 balls only, and India, of course, won the series.
Mm.
Good confidence. What I heard is that there was some interesting decisions taken by GG when Surya Kumar Yadav was bowling.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting.
GG has taken good decisions, and perhaps it is a good start for him. I would say good start for him.
Yep.
Virat Kohli has arrived to for the ODI series. That also,
Oh,
I'm sure
okay.
we're going to win comprehensively, so not a problem. Not a big
Hmm.
challenge.
Yeah.
The next, I think next we're heading to South Africa. After this,
Hmm. That will be
practice
interesting.
is that'll be interesting. Yes, because the next World Cup is in South Africa.
Hmm.
I am correct. Or where is the next World Cup? I think South
Yeah,
Africa.
it's in South Africa. Yeah, it's in South Africa.
South Africa, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So that will be good. They were finalists this year. They are also playing well.
Hmm.
But I think that what ICC should have done, and BCCI also, is that
Hmm.
they need to, just like they supported Afghanistan, through this tumultuous period,
Hmm.
uh, they should have supported Sri Lanka also
Hmm.
much more. Those Sri Lankan players can also play, uh, in the IPL and all.
IPO. Yeah.
So that is only saving grace for them. The cricketers can make some money and
Hmm.
also get a taste of playing with other international teams.
Yeah.
I also happened to catch the MLC happening in US.
Oh yeah. I
Only
think the
highlights.
Washington. I think the
Yeah.
Washington. I think they won it. I guess.
Yes. Yes. The
Oh.
Washington won it by defeating San Francisco Unicorns. And
Hmm.
again, it was Australia versus Australia, both sides. One was
Hmm.
Glenn Maxwell and Steve Smith played a winning role, and on the other
Hmm.
side, Pat Cummins' bad luck continues. He took SRH to the finals, San Francisco Unicorns to the finals, but
Hmm.
they were bowled out pretty cheap. But nonetheless,
Uh,
Indian players are not playing, of course.
hmm.
As as you know, BCCI prevents Indian players from participating in competing leagues.
Hmm.
So no Indian players are there. But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, it's doing good. Though I did see that lot of Southeast Asian diaspora in the audience. Okay,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
final happened in Texas at the Grand Prairie Stadium.
Oh.
Okay, it happened in Texas. So a lot of course, expected Southeast Asian diaspora. But interestingly, lot of Americans are slowly warming up. They don't understand the rules much.
Hmm.
They are just wondering as to what's happening. But I did see some. Uh, Americans taking
I
some
think
sort of interest.
Yeah, I think that I really feel that the LA Olympics is going to be like a breaking ground for cricket, like a make or
Yeah,
break kind of thing. And I think that will be the biggest exhibition for cricket in terms of opening up to the world audience, especially American audience. And I think we need to consistently keep playing cricket and keep hosting cricket in America for it
yeah,
to
yeah,
be, be consistently be visible, and especially leagues like these would definitely help. And
yeah.
like, hosting international tournaments as well, ICC events, or even bilaterals, I would suggest maybe, hosting it, and that would give cricket some kind of a display towards the American. Obviously, it's never going to replace, well, like hardcore American sports. But if cricket has to make any kind of inroads into the American psyche, it has to be through T20 leagues and bilaterals and or some kind of interesting events.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that the Olympics will do well. I don't know if Virat Kohli and all will try to have that one last Olympic medal in their kitty. Because
Hmm.
only the top teams, I think top 6 or 8 teams will only play in the Olympics, not everybody.
Hmm.
So think of it like a small Champions Trophy or a mini World Cup
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um, in 2028 LA Olympics.
Hmm.
Hopefully, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli get to add that to their kitty, also being called Olympians. What I think it will happen is, yeah, it will get some, it will get some eyeballs.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the Indian Olympic Committee has also included cricket to expand the reach of Olympics to the Indian subcontinent.
Oh.
Okay, they wanted to tap into the massive, of course, I mean, 1.5 billion people, almost like
Hmm.
25% of the world's population. So very strategic move also Indian Olympics committee is making, because
Hmm.
not that International Olympic Committee is also doing pretty well, because of the rising cost of Olympics. So they are also trying to find host nations, and people are saying in 2036
Hmm.
India should host the Olympics.
Yeah, I was reading about it. Nita Ambani was apparently making a speech about it, and then she said that we'll try our best to bid for India's Olympics in 2036. I think that'd be a great achievement if they can pull it off. But it's also going
I
to be a
It's only
Herculean
like
task.
yeah, only 12 years from now. I mean, I,
Yeah,
I doubt we can pull it off given what happened. I remember
in the Commonwealth
in Commonwealth
2010
Games, no?
Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, yeah, in
Yes.
Delhi.
Yeah.
Horrible Yamuna flooding and all that bad
Yes.
infra. Mm,
Yeah.
I don't know. I doubt if India can
Yeah.
pull off hosting
Y-
an Olympics level event, but good to
Yeah.
hope. I mean, nothing, no harm in that, but I doubt it's
Yes.
going to happen.
Hmm.
Hmm. All right, so that was on cricket. Complex. Now we move on to the next topic. So, Ishop, tell me what's happening in Canada. There's this news that uh, Indians are pooping on Canadian beaches. What is this news?
honestly, honestly, it gives me utter shame to even call. I don't know if the veracity of these incidents, but I wouldn't exactly be surprised if these news came out to be true, because I want to just say it's Indians who do it. To give some light to our viewers, actually, a lot of other people from other how do I say, a lot of other Canadians also do, pull off some really strange acts in public. Like there was this guy who was, and this was a content creator who put this video up on TikTok, and apparently there was a person on the TTC, which is the Toronto Transit, the bus, the subway and the entire Toronto public transport. There was someone who was pooping in the subway, and then you would have videos of people pissing on the subway line. Then there are people who would be dancing around naked in the pub in the TTC. So there's all kinds of things happening. I am not quite sure about the Indian people pooping in beaches, but if that were even slightest bit of, there was even some amount of truth in that, that's, I think, very,
No, no,
very
no. It's
shameful.
not true. It's not true. I mean, just checked. This story is from March and May. I don't just come up again. after this tweet has gone viral of racism against the Indians. No, no, it's not. It's all fake. But
Hmm.
from what I see is that in the Canadian politics, of course, there is a
Hmm.
huge influence of the Indian diaspora,
Yeah.
okay, or Indian origin people who are now naturalized Canadians.
Hmm.
Uh, I think there is this rising sentiment, just like in Europe, that
Hmm.
Canada needs to fix its economy before letting in so many immigrants coming to Canada. Is like true? Is the overall sentiment against migration, and especially because of Indians are one of the largest community over there.
Yeah, I would believe so. Even though there are mixed views on this, because like I mentioned on the previous video as well, Canada is a country that is built on immigration. Immigration has been happening in Canada ever since this country became a country back in the day. And Punjabi communities and a lot of the other, specifically Punjabi community holds the biggest share in terms of the immigration that happens from India. And they've been settling here for a very, very long time. And they're a very well respected uh, community here in Canada itself. People from India are placed in very good positions. But what has happened in the last 2 to 3 years is this mass surge of migration that's happened because of the easier policies that the Trudeau government has put out, which was obviously very well meaning. The intention behind it was very pure. But people have this sentiment that immigration has gone out of hands. And the reason why they say it is because of rising inflation, housing costs, very less houses compared to the amount of people that are living here. If you go around Brampton, you'd see people, and Mississauga even, you'd see people living in tents, you'd see people living in, temporary arrangements and stuff like that. And so things can get very hard, and the repercussions of that and the consequences are being everybody is bearing the brunt of it. It's not just immigrants, because inflation is affecting everybody. So I think just the other day there was a video of a guy who was showing his Walmart bill, or a Canadian grocery store bill, his monthly grocery shopping, which cost him somewhere around maybe 100 and something $45 or something back in 2019. And the same amount of stuff costs in 425 or 525, which is a four-time jump. So for something like that to happen over a period of 5 years is bizarre and absolutely absurd. So like there is a mixed feeling to this. Obviously, most Canadians are pretty welcoming even now. They're a country that's always welcomed immigrants. But what people are disappointed with is that there is absolutely no check in terms of who's coming into the country and what are their roles, etc. And the fact that they're just literally allowing anybody and everybody to come and be here with no sense of job security, with no sense of what are they going to do, how are they going to, contribute to the economy, how are they going to make their lives over here. And you can even see the news in terms of like how the Indian media is covering Canadian news in terms of international students, how they're suffering over here. So yeah, there's a lot of mixed feelings, but there's also a lot of negative sentiment towards this uproar of migration that's happened post COVID.
Right, right, right. Okay, that was it about Canada. Now talking about Canada again, but not on a much serious note. Have
Hmm.
you managed to watch Deadpool and Wolverine yet? No, right?
I have not yet watched. Have you watched? What is your take on this?
Yes, yes, I have seen it, and I'm talking about Canada because Ryan Reynolds is from Canada,
Yep.
and there are plenty of references to Canada in the movie. In fact, there
Hmm.
is a character in the second half of the movie called Nice Pool, who is a nicer version
Hmm.
of Deadpool, and he's from Canada. So he's shown to
Hmm.
be very nice to everyone. He's not rude like your typical
Hmm.
Deadpool. So a lot of jokes
Oh.
on Canada
Hmm.
in the movie. Mm,
Okay.
okay, and yeah, I've seen the movie. It was fun.
Hmm.
At least in India, it's going houseful, of course.
Hmm.
Uh, Not just because of Ryan Reynolds, but also
Hmm.
because of Hugh Jackman. He's come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has come back after a very, very long time. Last
Hmm.
he played Wolverine was in 2017 movie Logan. Okay,
Hmm.
and he's been playing this character for nearly 20 years. If you've seen the first X-Men movie in the
Yes.
2000s, he's been playing
Yes.
this character for God knows how long, and it is pretty
Yeah.
fun to watch him in the movie. The movie has like I would say so many cameos. I don't know how many, but easily 30, 40 cameos from so many actors. There's Jennifer Garner as
Hmm.
Elektra. There is Channing Tatum, who plays the character of Gambit from X-Men. His movie was cancelled or something, and just for fun, Ryan Reynolds got him back. There's Wesley Snipes coming back to
Oh.
play Blade.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's also Chris Evans coming back to play Human Torch, not Captain America again. And
Hmm.
there's also Daphne Keane. So lots and lots of cameos in
Hmm.
the movie. There is Matthew McConaughey as well, but he's only
Oh.
voicing a character. He's not actually uh, in
Hmm.
presence. So yeah, lots and lots of interesting cameos. It's a fun movie. The movie
Hmm.
has honestly no plot. Uh, and it has nothing to do with the previous two Deadpool movies. But yes, I mean, for those who are going to watch the movie, if they have not seen
Hmm.
the other Marvel shows like Loki, uh,
Hmm.
season one, and Loki season one and two, they're not aware of this multiverse kind of a thing. They will find it very confusing, honestly.
Hmm.
Okay, but overall, it's a fun, mindless movie. It's already done $500 million in business globally. By next weekend, it will cross $1 billion for sure.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Nice.
Apparently Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have taken 15-20 million dollars each for their roles,
Hmm.
which is massive, but not as massive as the next topic we're going to talk about.
Hmm.
Have you been by any chance following the San Diego Comic Con?
I have not followed, but I have heard the big news that is coming from there recently, and that's Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So
Yeah.
uh, now Robert Downey Jr. has come back to play
Hmm.
a very very massive villainous character called Doctor Doom.
Yep.
Okay, and this was something that nobody expected.
Hmm.
Okay, amidst a lot of other announcements, like Harrison Ford has also joined the MCU. At the age of
Hmm.
81, he's playing the role of a villain, anti-hero, something.
Hmm.
And so Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers, who made Avengers Endgame, you have definitely seen Infinity Wars and Endgame, right?
Yes. Yes.
So they have come back to direct the next Avengers,
Hmm.
and it is sheer desperation from Marvel to bring back a dead character
Hmm.
by calling it multiverse possibility. Despite the very fact that in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie they make so much fun of this entire multiverse nonsense concept because it's so confusing.
Hmm.
Because to watch one movie, you need to watch at least 10, 15 other movies to make sense.
Yes.
And a normal average film goer would not even remember all these pop culture references and all of that.
True. True. True.
I just did a video on my channel,
Hmm.
and that Robert Downey Jr. is apparently getting paid $100 million. Okay,
Wow.
$100 million for just one of the Avengers movie. Okay, not even both, one.
Hmm.
So he's going to make $200 million easily.
Hmm.
The Russo brothers are also being paid $80 million. And if you look at the Russo brothers' track record, right,
Hmm.
they have done a lot of action movies. They did this very famous Ryan Gosling movie on Netflix, which also featured an Indian star Dhanush, called Grey Man,
Oh, yes.
which was
Yeah.
horrible.
Yep. I remember.
It was so bad. Uh, they made it for again. Talking Ryan Reynolds is also from Canada. A lot of Canadian references.
Hmm.
Uh, so they haven't had much success outside of the MCU. So bringing them back and bringing RDJ back was such a, I would say, desperate and
Desperate move. Yeah.
last move from Marvel to go back to its ways of making money,
Hmm.
because they haven't been making enough money at the box office
Hmm.
over the last couple of years. Marvel and Deadpool and Wolverine is the only movie Marvel is releasing this year.
Hmm.
Okay. And yeah, so I mean, this was a news that literally like broke internet. Like apparently Robert Downey Jr.'s himself revealing as the new villain is now one of the most liked posts on Instagram globally.
Wow.
So I don't know, very bad timing. Fans are equally divided 50-50,
Hmm.
because Robert Downey Jr. took a break from Marvel to focus on very serious acting pursuits and roles. So, I mean, he won an Oscar for
Hmm.
Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
and there were very strong rumors that Cillian Murphy would come join Marvel,
Oh
but that didn't
wow.
happen. Yeah, but that didn't
That would
happen.
have been something. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that didn't happen. So,
Hmm.
again, I mean, to disrespect, like, when RDJ died on screen as Iron Man in Endgame, people were crying in
Hmm.
theaters. It's such an
Hmm.
emotional moment, and to bring
Yeah.
him back like this is just, I don't
I
know. I
think
mean,
I really feel
that's
like you should leave alone. I feel like you should leave some characters, especially iconic characters and TV shows and movies and franchises alone, and you should, because they have a shelf life. Honestly, because this whole idea about I have this view even about certain kinds of reboots that are being done for whether it's movies or TV shows. I mean, some of them can click and some of them can really do well with the public. But I feel like every TV show or every character, every iconic character and storyline has its own shelf life, and they have their own period, and they should be celebrated and cherished for what they gave to the audience, and then you should leave them alone instead of just bringing them out from the dead and then
yeah,
trying to spice it up or something. And like you said, in your desperate quest to churn some dollars because you've not been making any.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh,
and this also has like some sort of ramifications for India as well, because Marvel
hmm.
outsources a lot of its VFX and post production to India
Oh.
and Indian artists, right? And they have been
Hmm.
also protesting, not as Indian artists but global artists, that in the last 5 years, after Endgame, Marvel has put out so much of crap content that they're being
Hmm.
literally forced to work overtime, and they're
Oh.
not getting paid well. Okay, that's why in Hollywood, there
Hmm.
was the writer's strike last year.
Yep.
A lot of the movies were delayed. A
Hmm.
lot of concerns happened, and Robert Downey Jr. will be 61 by the time the movie comes out. He's already in his 60s. He'll touch 59. So clearly, he's
Hmm.
not that old to play. But if they can get Harrison
Hmm.
Ford at the age of 81 to play Hulk, Red Hulk, I mean,
Hmm.
they clearly are dangling that carrot in front of
Hmm.
people, that
Hmm.
and you spend money and magic will happen. Suddenly, sadly, that is not going to happen, because
Hmm.
people are definitely getting bored of it. On the other hand,
Hmm.
one studio that's making very bold moves is DC. They got,
Hmm.
they have this Joker movie coming up with Joaquin
Yes.
Phoenix
Yep.
and Lady Gaga,
Hmm.
which is the last one did $1 billion on a very small budget. This one is also
Hmm.
going to do apparently very, very well. So, and
Yep.
they have also, you should check out just purely for the acting of Colin Farrell in the
Hmm.
Penguin trailer, that
Hmm.
the web series, the TV series for HBO Max that he's putting out under
Okay.
heavy makeup from the Batman movie. He's carrying on the character. Uh,
Hmm.
Brilliant, brilliant role, and they're taking very bold moves. Not like
Hmm.
Marvel. So I don't know, honestly.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I think Marvel is becoming very boring right now. DC, on the other hand, is doing pretty well. And
Hmm.
uh, so talking about that, on the
Hmm.
ending note, uh, talking about actors charging a lot of money.
Hmm.
Like RDJ charges $100 million, Akshay Kumar is
Hmm.
charging 100 crores for a movie. Okay,
Yes. Hmm.
despite a lot of his movies not doing too well.
Yeah.
and completely flop. He continues to release movies and all.
Hmm.
Uh, and he has some another new movie also, some song he has stupidly released. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't want to offend his fanboys, but it is what it is. He hasn't had the greatest of track record in the last couple of
Yes.
years.
Hmm.
Hera Fairy 3 is, God knows when will it come. Uh, Always in the limbo, it's happening or not, nobody knows. Fans are waiting
Hmm.
though for Hera Fairy 3 to hopefully come someday, but happening. But it's just like, even Karan Johar was complaining.
Hmm.
And there's this recent podcast by Anurag Kashyap, who's like,
Hmm.
actors have such weird demands that my
Yes.
hairstylist will need to be paid 1 lakh rupees a day or
Yeah.
some stuff like that. I have my own makeup
Yep.
artist. Ludicrous
Yep.
demands.
Yes. And that has to be borne by the producer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, exactly. It's so bizarre that actors would have such outlandish demands. They could be filming in the middle of nowhere and then still want that one burger to be brought from that five-star
Yeah,
hotel or God knows what.
yeah, yeah. In the
It's
middle of a
just
desert and all that.
yeah, exactly.
Huge tantrums. Though
Yeah.
I think that even Hollywood actors have these tantrums, but the
True.
thing is that there is this differentiation in Hollywood and Bollywood is that Hollywood actors to a certain extent prioritize the entire the beauty of acting, beauty of cinema much more.
Yes.
That's why RDJ took a break. He tried a lot of experimental. He did Doolittle,
Hmm.
okay, uh, which did not do well at the
Hmm.
theaters. Then he also ended up in Oppenheimer, which of course got him that Oscar. And
Yeah.
probably he had that bucket list kind of a thing that I need to do some serious
Hmm.
films. And then once he's done that, he's gotten an Oscar. He's managed to come back and do
Hmm.
this.
Yeah.
But uh, the problem is that Indian actors don't prioritize that very the very nuance of acting. They don't take cinema seriously and don't make good content.
Yes. I was actually listening to Nasiruddin Shah on a recent podcast where he said that once an actor see the art of acting is such is that you have to be close to life and you have to be constantly in touch with life and or the art of observation and everything. And he said that very few actors, I think actually it was Paresh Rawal who was mentioning it about Nasiruddin Shah, where he mentioned about this one time where he went to France. Actually, sorry, he went to London to perform a to perform a show with a very renowned theater director in London, and he was doing, I think, one of the Shakespearean plays, and he had a 10-minute role. And he said that I'm going there because this person is he's one of the best in the business, and I'm going to learn from him. And this was probably when he was already a star, and when he was already this well-known Nasiruddin Shah. And he said, Paresh Rawal said that how very few people actually still work in theater, or who still work on their craft, or who still hone and polish their work. Once you
Yeah,
become a
yeah,
star, they just become stars now, that's it. So this whole star culture is very prevalent in India, and once you've reached a certain level, you've given a few blockbusters and you're a big name now, people just stop focusing on acting and they just keep dishing out nonsense after nonsense, and people and honestly and keep charging those humongous amounts of money, which is really hard for producers to really bear. It's so difficult to make a film, and they out of all people should know how difficult it is to put together a film. And but if the actor is going to take the main lion's share, how are the producers going to make back that money? How's the film? What about the other cast and crew? You have to pay
yeah, yeah,
writers, you have to pay assistant directors, you have to pay light boys. Everybody plays a crucial role in making the film happen. So you sit with your 100 crores, your 90 crores, and what have you. But at the end of the day, you're not only your films are bombing. First of all, it's not even as if your films are successful. I don't know when the last time Akshay Kumar gave a successful film, and he's been dishing out nonsense after nonsense for so long, and yet he keeps charging 100 crores. But why? It's just
yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, only the actors and the get paid very well, but at the
Yeah.
bottom of the table, the writers, support staff, crew. They are the ones who put in so many hours.
Yeah,
Uh, and get paid peanuts.
yeah,
And most of the jobs are anyways contractual. They're moving from one
yeah,
film to the other, one studio from the other. They're not
yeah,
necessarily employed all the time.
yeah.
So
And
yeah,
unlike
so
the
it's
actors and unlike actors and big shot directors who have agencies to represent them, right? So they're all signed it with agencies, they're all signed it with representation who do the hard grind for them because they've reached. Even if you are an actor who has recently broken through and had a breakout role, the fact that you've had the fact that you landed that role means that you were already being represented by a very good agency who sent you to that casting director, and so you've already gone through that grind. But people who are assistant writers or script writers at that bottom level of the tree, then they don't have representation, so they are on their own. They are the ones who are running pillar to post, asking for work, managing God knows how in an expensive city like Bombay. So it's really hard. And unlike the West, where it's organized, like you were mentioning the writers' strike that happened here in the West. At least here you have unions and representations. Over there in India, most of the people don't even have that. So there's no one to protect you and your rights and your work and your talent at the end of the day. So it's really sad.
yeah, that it is. That definitely it is. Uh, yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's all we have to discuss. Thanks for your time, man. And
No worries.
we'll be back next week with some more discussions on Bollywood, sports, India, and everything else. And if Indians are still pooping in Canada or not, I don't know. If that discussion
I
still
hope they don't.
continues to have. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay.
Have a great evening ahead. Bye bye.
You too. Cheers. See ya.